Hey folks, Ron here. Here I am. I'm going to be showing you a couple of houses today. The first house is right here on North Palm Drive. Very interesting story. This is the house owned by Johnny Hyde. That wasn't his real name, but he anglicized it. Is that the phrase? Anglicized it? Changed it to an American. He was a Jewish man, Eastern European descent, like many of the guys who started Hollywood, basically, the studio bosses and so on and so forth. And when he came to the United States, he changed his name to Johnny Hyde. Now, the interesting thing, many of the interesting things, was that he was the #2 agent over at the William Morris Agency. And basically, he discovered, he was present or saw a photo shoot with Norma Jean Baker, with Marilyn Monroe. I believe it was 1949. And for that particular photo shoot, he spotted her, of course, fell, in love with her, basically, like most guys. And he helped her get her career started. He helped her get into Asphalt Jungle and started her out in the business, basically started her out in the business, and also claimed to have fallen in love with her. He had her apparently living here in the guest house, even though he was still married. I don't know whether he was separated or not. And whether his wife knew about it or not, that also remains in question. I would assume she probably did. Now, he actually asked Marilyn to move in with him, excuse me. Actually, he asked Marilyn to marry him because he was so infatuated or in love with him. He was 49 at the time, and I believe she would have been about 20. And she did refuse to marry him, and a year later he died of a heart attack. But he certainly is credited with helping Marilyn get her career started. So that's that house. Speaking of Marilyn Monroe, we're also going to see a house in this video that Marilyn lived in with Joe DiMaggio, her second husband. Okay, folks, that's it for now. We're going to meet you at the next location. Bye. Hey, folks, well, now I'm out in front of, believe it or not, and they are doing something with you can see with the roofing, that there's a roofing sign over there. I don't know whether they're tearing this house down or not, but this is the house that Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio lived in. They rented a house in the Hollywood Hills, and then they moved into this house here on Palm Drive near Santa Monica Boulevard, which is right there, pretty residential, pretty close to the boulevard, although in 1952 it wasn't nearly as crowded as it is now. But this house, yeah, they were only married for 9 months, Marilyn and Joe DiMaggio. It was quite the union. I think I'm going to go this way because they're doing some construction right next door to the house that I'm filming. And Marilyn and Joe were sort of set up on a date, and Joe really fell instantly for Marilyn. It was a match. He said it was like fireworks in bed, so they certainly had a tremendous sex life. The problem was the rest of their life. Joe DiMaggio was hoping that Marilyn would retire more or less and stay home, or at least more often than she did. Marilyn, of course, loved being Marilyn Monroe and working and traveling and being on the Hollywood circuit. And because of that, there was a lot of conflict between them and other things. And of course, one of the final blow-ups was, or actually the final blow-up, was when Marilyn was filming 7-Year Itch. And there's a famous scene where her skirt is blown up by the grate, and Joe was standing by watching the filming, and he was fuming. And they had a huge row back at the hotel that night. And according to some biographers, I know the DiMaggio biography that I read, things turned physical. And that was pretty bad. There's a beautiful pseudo-Mediterranean behind me here. So anyway, it was a short-lived marriage. It was only 9 months, but the most touching thing about the story of Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe is that Joe DiMaggio really was in love with Marilyn for the rest of his life. In fact, he really wanted to get back together with her always. He really wanted to remarry her. He was still pining for her while she was with Arthur Miller, and after Arthur Miller. He firmly believed, the open secret, that Marilyn was having affairs at separate times with both Kennedys. That's Robert Kennedy, the Attorney General, and before that, his brother, President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. Now, Joe DiMaggio believed that her association with the Kennedys and with Frank Sinatra and the Mafia, to a lesser degree Sam Giancana, ultimately got her killed. He did not believe her death was a suicide, and he blamed, or even an accidental suicide, and he certainly blamed the Kennedys and the Hollywood crowd for what happened to her. By the way, I have a separate vlog on Marilyn, her home, her last home, over in Brentwood, if you'd like more information on this subject. But Joe DiMaggio banned most of Hollywood, if not all of Hollywood, except for like makeup people and things like that. He banned them from the funeral, and he certainly banned anybody associated with the Kennedys, including Pat and Peter Lawford, who are Hollywood and Kennedys. But Joe DiMaggio had roses sent to Marilyn's grave every 3 days for the rest of her life, or the rest of his life. That was decades, and he always dreamed of getting back with her. In fact, I have read that he said, reportedly on his deathbed, now I'll get to see Marilyn again. Very touching, very romantic, and I tend to believe it's true. I also have a vlog taken of Marilyn Monroe's grave, and you can see that as well if you look here on my channel. But Joe did want to always get back with Marilyn, but it wasn't to be. She died very young, 1962, at age 36. So that's the story of Marilyn and Joe. There's this beautiful mansion next door to where they lived. And then there's the one where they lived briefly. Joe also wanted to live full-time in San Francisco, where he was from. He didn't want a working actress wife, and there's the home right there. Okay, folks. Well, I'm going to let it go here. My name is Ron, and if you enjoy my channel, please subscribe. And if you do subscribe, please hit the little bell next to the subscribe button, and you'll know when I post. You'll get an indication of it. Give me likes, I'd appreciate it, and it would affect the algorithm on YouTube. And also, please comment in the comments section if you see fit. I do read them, and I certainly will comment. I really appreciate your theories and thoughts on all points of view. Okay, folks, that's it for now. We'll see you at the next location. Thanks, and bye-bye.